HubSpot's Inbound Conference is back. It's going down live in Boston from September 8th through the 20th. Get ready to learn from the most successful sales leaders in tech. And don't miss the Science of Scaling's live session on how to scale your revenue effectively. Hear from other industry experts on how to differentiate your brand and navigate transitions to achieve growth. Get the latest HubSpot news and product updates, and there's so much more. Visit inbound.com to see the lineup and grab your tickets today.
Expanding from selling a single product to multiple products. It's almost a required journey for getting to unicorn status. And yet, that journey often leads to failure. Most companies think mobilize the organization, train the sales team, build the product, get the customer support folks trained, change the website, and that's the approach that leads to failure. There's a better way. So today we bring in Ryan Meadows, head of global sales at Klaviyo. He joined them 5 years ago. They're around 60 million in ARR. Today, they're north of 700 and on their path to 3 billion. And this expansion to multi-product selling is a key ingredient. Let's unpack how they did it. My name is Mark Roberge, and this is the Science of Scaling. So awesome to see what HubSpot alum go off and do. And wow, have you gone off and done some amazing stuff. So
I appreciate that.
I'm excited that we get to unpack this together. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I don't know if we can call it Klaviyo 2.0, where you had to go from just like, more of an app to multi-product to platform. Can you tell us about what the company's been doing? And then we can unpack how to align the go-to-market motion with a strategy like that.
The reason I joined Klaviyo, the premise was B2C CRM, and it was this underlying database. So no one ever bought Klaviyo because we had the best email editor or the slickest flow. It was always activating customer data. And so we said, okay, what's the next step in activating customer data? Well, it's first to build out all of your messaging channels. So we go one product to two. Now we have text messaging. Then we say, okay, what other use cases sit on top of that? Well, you should collect reviews if you're an e-commerce merchant. And then, oh, by the way, you actually want to ingest all of your customer data and make sense of it. We really should build a SKU for that customer data platform. So now you go from one product to four very quickly. And then the rest of the market starts to wake up and they say, I want to do what that small, really fast, hot company is doing. And so larger merchants and legacy merchants start to get interested. And so, we went from average deal is $200 a month on a credit card when I joined to our top 10 customers spend on average 1.5 million a year with us now. So you just see that change. And then of course we see the international market start to kick in and they're just begging, can you build in our language? Can you build features that we specifically need in these markets? So that's phase two for us is we're going up market, we're going around the world and we're building out that full architecture rather than just a single app. So it's put a lot of pressure on evolving our go-to-market to match.
A crazy journey and one so common for a successful IPO unicorn and how you're going to grow. Usually there's options for product expansion and there's market expansion, the common ones that you're tackling, enterprise and international. It sounds like you're doing them all at once. Like, can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. It's what everyone tells you not to do. The hardest part about going from 700 million to 2 or 3 billion is you could do a lot of things. We have plenty of money in the bank. We just posted earnings, 38% year-over-year growth, profitable growth. So there's a lot that we can do. And I think the vendor that moves quickly will be rewarded. And we see a lot of consolidation happening.
Hey folks, just Mark here. Yes, this is a requirement to build a unicorn. We have to go from single product, single market, arguably even single sales motion to multi-product, multi-market, multi-sales motion. At least move in one of those. Those are the three dimensions. Like, let's appreciate that when you look at your business. You know how to sell a single product to a single market through a single sales motion. That's usually the early days. And anytime you expand one of those, you have to do what Ryan's done here. And most people don't. Let's just take like product as an example. Okay, it's like, all right, yeah, we've gotten ourselves to 40 mil. It's really good. We need to get to 70 million this year. And we're not going to do it through our current product market sales motion approach. So let's build a new product. And then what happens, like, great idea. So they get everyone in motion. The product and engineering team start building it. It's January. We're going to launch it in June. The marketing team starts building the collateral. They get the website ready, change the website. We're going to launch it at the customer conference in July. We train all 100 salespeople. The customer success team and customer support team all trained on the new product, and we launch it, and the product sucks. Just like what Ryan said. They didn't have it right out of the gate. I don't know why we think that. Because when we start a company at the beginning, we're not like, oh, I have this idea for a product, and while we build it, I'm going to hire 50 reps and train them and build a huge website and launch it at a huge conference. We don't do that. We know we're not going to get it right. We do agile development and customer-centric design, and we iterate until we have product market fit, and then we scale. That's what we have to do with the new product launch too. And Ryan and Klaviyo did it beautifully. Don't disrupt the machine. Grab 2 salespeople, put them on the side, and make it almost like the replication of a cross-functional seed-funded business, and give them the space to learn. Beautiful. We're not done with the story. There's so many more decisions ahead. So let's hear more from Ryan on how he untangled this.
So we're tackling all of them at the same time.
Let's try to bring that to life for our founders and sales leaders that are listening. Because, like, I'm sure there's a bunch of them that are like, okay, yeah, we are going through a market expansion. Yeah, we are going to multi-product. So the minute you hear that in the executive leadership team meeting, what goes through your mind in terms of what you're going to do? Like, are you all of a sudden, you're like, okay, I got my 500 salespeople and I'm going to start training them on this product or this market? Maybe we have to tackle those one at a time. Why don't we go multi-product? So you've got 500 salespeople out there that know how to sell this product really well. And now you're building 3 more. What do you do on the sales side?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to take them one by one. And the first thing we do is have conversations cross-functionally with R&D and G&A to make sure that the dependencies are clear, so that this is not just a sales or go-to-market initiative. You have to, eyes wide open. I think that's the most important thing that I can help the business with. But then we say, go, stack hands. This is what we're doing. Let me give you the multi-product one first. At that time, we had about 100,000 customers, and we launched our second product. Let's incubate that. We took 2 sellers, pulled them out of their day job, and said, you now go sell to our customer base. Let's really make sure we have product market fit. It's amazing on email, but let's be smart about this. And we got 100 things wrong. We had pricing that was all wrong. The value prop was all wrong. And so we learned a lot. We did that for about 9 months of just those 2 dedicated sellers. You fix a bunch of those things. And then we said, okay, there's something here. Let's build a team. But for us, there was so much opportunity in the customer base that the right decision at that time was to spin up a customer growth team, which is now, well over 60 people. They're cranking and they're selling our additional products to our customer base. But we had to incubate it. Like that was not a moment to take it and just bring it to the entire sales org.
So you take these 2 people and you say, go sell into the customer base. Were they stepping on anyone's shoes at that point? Like, did anyone own the customer base, like account managers or CS, and they were trying to do some expansion and there was some territorial stuff going on?
We're sort of unique in that regard. Single product, acquisition focus. So there's no sales responsibility really post-sale. We did have CSMs who are doing amazing work trying to get our customers to adopt more. So I wouldn't call it friction, but there was a lot of learnings on, well, who owns the customer communication? Do you call the CSM first before you reach out directly to a customer? Do you join the QBR? That took a lot of tweaking to get right. It puts pressure on systems. Our CSMs were in Gainsight. Our salespeople are in Salesforce. Those weren't integrated. Gosh, what if they just submitted support tickets and they're really upset? Now I'm calling trying to sell a new product. So there's a lot of learnings there about how to get that into the same place and unify it. But there was no sales friction because we simply did not have ownership. We didn't do anything post-sale. Now all of a sudden we're bringing in cross-sell for the first time.
All right, let's talk about those 2 people, because I'm picturing one of the founders, CEOs, sales, everybody go, okay, we're about to do this. This is good. Let's start right at the beginning. How'd you even pick the 2 people? Yep. You had whatever, hundreds of choices. Yep. What was it about these 2 that you're like, they're the 2 to do it?
I think it was the intersection of extremely high business acumen. So they understand Klaviyo, they understand our customers. So they're going to be flexible, they're going to be adaptable. Success, history of achievement, they were good. They're both really good. And then interest. It's a hard place. We had to put them on a draw. We weren't sure if they were going to sell nothing or break our comp plan and sell everything.
Hey folks, just Mark here. Yeah, this is step 2. Great strategy, step 1. Step 2, devil's in the details. Who do we pick and how do we comp him? He nailed it. This is not your 2 best reps. No. It's just like when you're starting a company, people always say like, don't go hire the best rep at Workday. Like when they went to work, like they're the best rep for a reason. Like they went through the month-long training. They had all the objection handling methodologies. They had all the support from their manager and the coaching. We don't have that yet when we're starting a company. We don't have that yet here when we're launching this new product. These are not the 2 best reps. He's nailed the attribution reflection. It's like strong business acumen, probably great discovery seller so we can understand where the problem is and where the concerns are of the customer. Definitely the ability to work on a cross-functional team, communicate with engineers and work with product. It's almost like a PM plus an account executive. And if they're talking about compensation, you hire the wrong person. I've done that. I've built these teams and I got most of them right. But the ones I got wrong on the first day of the team, they were like, hey, can we talk about my comp? That's the wrong person. Because they recognize that this is not like a this quarter comp discussion. This is a huge win for their career to learn this process and get the executive exposure on execution that's going to lead to greater things. Those are the right hires. So it's a complete draw. Like, why is there a commission plan used at this point? No, that's detractive from the situation. It's like, why do the PMs and the CS people get to sit in the room and like think about it and iterate while this person's losing money? It's going to put the pressure on the wrong spot. It's a full draw. It's probably less than what they made W-2 because there's no more upside, but there's huge career upside for them. Great job, Ryan, on the selection and the setup. All right, let's keep going on this thread.
You just didn't know. And so, we needed a high level of interest from them to go through the ups and downs.
Amazing. All right, now let's talk about what the heck they even did. So it's like, all right, you 2 are it. Go call the install base and sell them this thing. Can you just tell us like what messaging works there?
Yeah, well, so they did a few different things. One is you've got to get messaging right. Well, you got to decide who you're going to sell it to, what's the messaging, and then we did weekly recaps because everyone in the company wanted to know what's the customer, how are they responding, what's the feedback, and we use Gong, so of course that was a great tool in our tool belt to listen to these calls. But yeah, we had to work with marketing, come up with the messaging. For us, it was pretty straightforward, which is about half of our customers were already using this messaging channel, SMS, with someone else. And so it's a consolidation story. So we had to hone in, okay, for 50% of our customers, let's get their tech stack. Now we can identify this as a consolidation story. Let's get that right. Well, for the other 50%, they were not trying this channel. Very different message. Here's why you should try it for the first time. And here's how you're going to get set up on it. Very, very different. So that was our big learning early on is you just have to get that right.
And you flirted with this, which I was really curious about, is how do you accelerate learning? Because as you point out, like no one gets this right out of the gate. You don't have the right product. You don't have the right message. You may not even know where the earliest low-hanging fruit is from a customer perspective. And in your seat, it's like, how can I get this 2 people to learn fast, but also spread the learnings across the org into the heads of the engineers, the product managers, the marketers to support them. I mean, you mentioned Gone recordings and stuff. Was it just like they were running 90 miles an hour and people could like tap in and listen whenever they want, or was that formalized at all?
Yeah, this never goes away. So, for example, just in the last 1 month, we launched our CDP, Customer Data Platform, last year, and we quickly learned our customers loved the analytics portion of it so much that they wanted to buy that on its own. And so we stood up a twice a week stand up for our customer growth team, the team that we got off the ground with these 2 people. And that seems like a lot, pretty heavy-handed, twice a week stand up. But within 4 weeks, we were able to create a new SKU for analytics only because we had product marketing, we had R&D, We had everyone that was needed to get this done on those stand-ups, listening to these calls, hearing the feedback. So, I think in our business, what's really challenging, but the opportunity is that we're scaling so quickly, but there's so many things that are still builds. Mm-hmm. So you're still scrappy, trying to figure out product market fit for a new product. And then as far as formalizing it goes, we do have 6 company initiatives that are cross-functional. So there's a 5-person team. Every person's in a different function at Klaviyo, and we meet monthly against quarterly goals and monthly goals to see how we're doing. And that drives a lot of collaboration between R&D, G&A, and go-to-market.
Talk about those stand-ups. Are you actually listening to calls in there, or is it just like the reps are venting about what we don't have, or the PMs are asking questions? What happens in there?
Yeah, so it's a leadership-only stand-up. We typically have 8 to 10 people. We'll invite folks depending on the topic. And it came from a place of this customer growth team. So we're fast-forwarding a few years now. This customer growth team figured out SMS. It's going beautifully. We took that, we scaled it to our acquisition teams. Our new acquisition team now sells it 30% of the time when they're selling our first product. So you just see our attach rate go way up. Success. Let's do that again. We roll out reviews, we roll out CDP. We're right back to square one. Okay, we need to learn about these products. So starting in January, we put a big goal on 2 new products. We've never done it before, those products. And we say, gosh, we need to get this going a little bit faster than it is right now. So twice a week stand-up kicks in. Okay, let's get everyone together. And so you bring in product, you bring in marketing. Those are going to be the key stakeholders, CS and sales. And they just say, look, what are we learning? And that's where, some gong calls, although we'll typically assign that to people to do between the stand-ups.
Hey, folks, just Mark here. Yeah, step 3, set this team up for maximum learning. Right? Like, they're not just out there pitching the product and coming back and saying it's not working. No, we know it's not going to work out of the gate. So we have to set up this communication and data flow in a way that's going to allow the entire organization to learn fast. And that's one of the advantages of just choosing the 2 people as opposed to spreading this across 300. Because we're putting all the learning moments in 2 brains as opposed to 300, where it would be diluted. So just in that setup, we've optimized this. And he's setting up a twice a week stand-up. Yeah, I'll push it to once a day. The frequency of that stand-up represents the frequency of the learning. And if my salespeople are doing like 3 or 4 customer conversations a day, then we're going to see the patterns faster. By the end of the month, I've got 20 working days. I got 20 reflections, discussions. I'm going to get to the right answer faster. So that's what I love to do here is I just like, okay, let's all hustle, let's run. And every day from 4 to 5 or from 5 to 6, we're going to get into a room together as a cross-functional team and reflect. And that could be listening to a first call with a customer and what we discovered. Or it could be a gone analysis of, across 10 calls of what we're doing. Or it could just be like a brainstorming discussion where the PMs are thinking one direction and the salespeople are trying to like add evidence and anecdotes around it. But we're learning fast. That's step 3. We got to learn fast. Let's get back to Ryan and keep pulling this thread.
So the stand-ups are okay. We've all listened to the gong calls. We've all heard the leadership feedback. We have a problem. We have an opportunity. What are we going to do? What are we going to change to get there?
Let's keep pulling the SMS through because it's like you've set this up beautifully to learn fast. You've got the cross-functional team. You've got the 2 sales reps that are chosen precisely for this, comped in the way and motivated to do it. Now it works. Like, what are like the milestones you're looking for to be like, okay, this thing's ready to scale? And then how do you scale it? Do you then like train the team? Like do the big launch at the next customer conference? Like how do you do it?
Yeah, some milestones. Let's start there. I think the first one is you can't actually look at a report when you're getting started. This is the biggest mistake that we made is you actually try to solve for win rate or closed won deals or pipeline. You've got to go right to the customer and hear their response and hear their questions. So the first thing we really do is just hear all of their rebuttals and address those, create messaging. So that's the first marker I'm looking for is what's the customer response.
Yes, step 4. How do we know when we're done? How do we know when we're ready to scale? Too often people jump to how we measure the core business. LTV to CAC, payback, growth rate. No, that's not it. You don't walk into this and be like, oh yeah, once we get to $1 million in revenue, we're ready to scale this thing. No, it's very customer focused initially. Like Ryan said, you can't look at the data. I might push back a little bit and say you can look at the data. It's just not revenue math data. It's customer value data. That's what you have to look at. This is classic science of scaling. Product market fit, then go to market fit. That's what he did. He focused everything on talking to customers. Are they getting value from the product? Are they seeing the value that we're promising? So I might say something like our first North Star, this is the SMS message, is to get every customer we bring on, get like 90% of them to send multiple SMSs every day. Like what's the daily active usage of the seats that we're selling? That's the first North Star. I don't care about win rate, profits, ACV, whatever. We just need at-bats to get in there. And once we're confident in that, then we can move to go-to-market fit. And that's where he's talking about win rate, 20 to 30%. So flawless execution on the focus of the North Star and this team to get this product right. It's customer value creation first. Let's keep pulling this thread of the Ryan.
I think from there, then you're starting to look at pipeline creation and conversion. And so once you have a little bit of volume going, we obsess at Klaviyo about conversion, rightfully so. We're doing thousands of transactions a month. So every point shift in conversion makes a difference in our funnel, in our SMB funnel. And then you have something. Okay, say, all right, I'm running at a 25-30% conversion. That's sort of minimum where we would want to be. Our core product in our SMB was at 70% conversion. So no longer is this 20% good. Like when you have a great product market fit, you can go much, much higher than that. So you're looking for the minimum 25-30% win rate or conversion rate.
And as you shifted to like, is it working for the customer to now, is it working from a conversion win rate standpoint? Is it still just these 2 reps?
It was just these 2 reps there. And then that's the marker. Then we said, okay, go. And once we got there, we hired our first leader. So it went from reporting directly to me, right? So I had directors, managers, the whole team reporting to me and these 2 reps. It's just that important. Then we say, okay, great. Let's bring in a director. Let's start to scale this out.
Talking Too Loud, hosted by Chris Savage, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. On this podcast, Chris Savage, Wistia CEO and loudest talker, takes you inside the minds of entrepreneurs as they share the hilarious, informative, and most challenging aspects of building more human brands. You can hear episodes like Building a Reusable Notebook Empire with entrepreneur Joe LeMay, or The AI Video Revolution with Wistia's own head of production, Chris Levine. Listen to Talking Too Loud wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so now seems like it continues to get complicated because now I've got my core product that's humming. Everybody sells it, big team. Now I got these 2 reps, and I'm very confident in the customer value creation. I'm very confident in the win rate and the math around that. And it's like, we want this to become a really meaningful driver of revenue. So like, is this a separate team? Do we train the whole team on the product now? How'd you all think through that?
Yeah. And there's, we're learning every day. So I don't know if there's a perfect model, but once we built that team, we said, look, we're going to bring this to our customers, but the product's good enough now. Our value prop is refined. Look, we can bring this to new customers as well. And so that was our initiative, is at the same time, we're not going to combine the teams. We do need to keep them separate for focus. We're still, this is middle of COVID. This is acquisition. So we went through a major enablement project to bring this now to what we call our new co team. And new co is just customer lands. And we saw that, month over month, 5% attach rate, 8%, 10%. And within about 6 months, we got that up to about 18 to 20%. Now it's hovering just over 30%. attach rate. So you're just, and that's all enablement. I think now what we had to be careful of is we've created a new code team that does one thing and a customer growth team that does something else. And there's a lot of room for inconsistent customer experience and customer message. That's what I'm now in the middle of. So I wouldn't have done it any other way. I think it worked for us at that time, but it now gives me a pretty big exercise here of how do I drive a consistent customer message across two teams that were built to do different things.
So it's basically where you all are right now in that journey. Most of the new customer story is still around the legacy product, and the SMS and obviously the other products too are largely sold into existing customers, and those are different teams.
The team started to look less like Newco and customer growth and more like my email team and my SMS team, which is just generally going to be a very inconsistent message if you think back to what this CRM, this consolidation story. So our major enablement initiative this year is to bring the message together.
Step 5, we're scaling. How do you do it? That's not easy. And you're still feeling a little hesitation, and they're phasing this out. They're doing a good job, obviously, but you can see how this is hard now. Point number 1 is easy, which is like, yeah, these 2 reps aren't necessarily part of the scale. That's fine. They're so valuable, but like they have a particular skill set. They're not going to want to be in the factory now that we're building the factory. They're going to go off and build something else. Like you said, they're running teams. They had so much great executive exposure. That bet they made with their career worked out fine. But now it's tricky. Like, do you have 2 separate teams, or do you train the reps, the core reps, now that we know what this thing is? Like, let's just play that out, right? Like 2 separate teams is amazing because they can be experts in that product. And so like we can really just know everything about that product, how to discover around, et cetera. That's a really bad experience for the customer, especially if there's a single buyer, right? Like if one product sold the finance and the other product sold the marketing, that's easier to pull off. But if these 2 products are sold to the same person, that's a really bad experience to have 2 salespeople. That's confusing. Now, that's one consideration is where do we stand there? In this case, we stand with probably a single buyer for both products. The other consideration is it even humanly possible for an account executive to keep all these products in your head? I would say it's probably okay here. Like you look at a company like Oracle or Salesforce or Microsoft, that's not possible. They're just too broad. They're a single account executive. So you end up with these matrices where some salespeople own the accounts and they can sell anything in there. They just don't know how to really sell anything as an expert. And they bring in the product salespeople who have a quota on selling that product. A lot of the sale happens internally. It's a matrix. And that's just the necessity. It's a lot of complexity. It's a lot of cost. And we should try to avoid that. So in this case, as I'm unpacking Klaviyo, it's like, okay, I don't get a sense that these products are too robust and complicated. I think I can train a single salesperson to do it. And I'm probably selling to the same team or person. So I probably want to go for consolidating this. And that's a little bit where he's headed. But it's just been a phased approach. Let's get back to him.
You're still going to have an acquisition and a cross-sell team, but how do you actually have a consistent message?
So do you comp your Newco team who isn't as trained or maybe not trained at all on SMS because it hasn't been their thing on that sale?
So the way we have our team structured is Newco will close the deal. $1 is $1. Any product, $1 is $1. So we're highly encouraging bundling our products together. You maintain that relationship between 4 and 6 months, depending on the team that you're on. And then you pass over to customer growth. So you're really trying to get them through adoption. We know that adoption at Klaviyo takes 3 to 4 months, typically speaking. A little bit of time to cross-sell, then pass it over. As we go up market, it's going to have some pressure on that. And so, for example, this year we just built, it's about 5 people now, a strategic accounts team. And that strategic accounts team does not have a handoff. It's acquisition, it's growth, it's everything together.
Well, Ryan, this has just been a wonderful story. There's so much to pull here for our founders and sales leaders. And I just want to say, like, it's just been a great experience for me too. It's so fun to build a great company with great people. And what's awesome is to see them go off and do amazing things. And it's such an honor to see you go off and see what you've done at Klaviyo. And, a lot of the Hubs alumni have done great things, and you're among the top. So congratulations.
I really appreciate you saying that, Mark. And I know you didn't ask me to say this, but I got to tell a quick story, which is when you were interviewing and you hired me, so it was a good ending. But you started off the interview with, "Hey, I'm a landscaping company, Ryan, just sell me."
Nice.
And it's one example of many, Mark, that I've taken, we're talking 14, 15 years later, and still use in some form. And so thank you. There's a lot of things that Klaviyo has taken from what you built early days at HubSpot, and I'm very grateful.
Well, thank you for saying that, man. And I will tell you, I probably didn't invent much of that. It was a baton that was handed to me, and it's now handed to you. And I know you're handing it on to a bunch of other people too. So congratulations.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, that does it for me, folks. I'd like to thank our showrunner, Matthew Brown. Editing support comes from Pizza Shark Productions. Of course, I want to thank HubSpot for Startups and the HubSpot Podcast Network for keeping the audio on. And by the way, if I'm a huge fan of feedback. And so get this, if you're listening on Spotify right now, check your phone, see that Q&A field? That's a direct line to me and our show. So let us know what you think. All right, I'll see you next week.